Ian Garry has beat Carlos Prates by decision at UFC Kansas City, and let's talk about the event. The main card was really good, other than obviously Abus Magomedov versus Michel Pereira. That was not the greatest fight, but every other fight was really good, really entertaining. And let's start with the main event. Ian Garry, if you don't look at that last minute of the 5th round, he fought the perfect fight on 25 days notice. Perfect fight. He not only didn't really get hurt by the very end against probably the most dangerous striker in the whole of the welterweight division in Prates, but he was dominating. Them first 3 rounds, Ian Garry fought the absolute perfect fight. Utter domination. Prates couldn't land anything. He couldn't get a takedown on Ian. He couldn't do anything. And Ian was landing combo after combo, constantly circling, never once let himself get caught up against the cage. And we know how good Prates is at knocking people out when they're stuck up against the cage. And if you notice in that fight, Ian, as soon as Prates would back him up to the cage, if he couldn't circle out, he'd shoot in for a takedown, whether it be a single leg, double leg. If he didn't get it, who cares? Them first 2 rounds when he was just constantly throwing out the single legs, perfect. That is what a game plan looks like. Fake the shot, or even attempt the shot, but you're not fully wasting all your energy, running through on it, running the pipe. You're just letting him know that it's there. Oh, I can take you down, I can grab your leg. And his timing on them takedowns were really, really good. Prates though, fair play to Prates, his defense to the takedowns. I know he obviously got took down by double legs, I think 2 or 3 times, but his single leg defenses are amazing, and his scrambles in the last round really good. And no one can say about him smoking all them ciggies and drinking alcohol that it has an effect on his gas tank, because he was the fresher fighter when it came to that last round. And Prates, it's hard because I don't think he would have lost much stock from that fight. The same way Ian Garry didn't lose much stock from the Shavkat fight. Everyone knows how good Ian Garry is. And Prates, he obviously didn't get finished. He did get dominated. I'd say the first 3 rounds, it was quite, I would heavily side towards Ian Garry. I would have personally gave the fight, I'll have to rewatch it, but just thinking straight now, I would have gave it 4-1 Garry. I probably would have gave the first 4 rounds to Garry and then the last one to Prates. But Prates, in the 4th and 5th round, that's when he became a light. I felt like the first round or 2, it was a bit jokey. It was a bit like, ha ha ha, you can't take me down. And I don't know, like obviously they're both Portuguese. I know Ian isn't, but like he speaks Portuguese, they're having a laugh. And felt like in the fight, the first 2 rounds, it was quite jokey, and then something switched in the 4th round when Prates was like, oh no, I've got to forget this, I've got to win. He landed a really good left knee at one point with Prates again, but Ian took it well, and he was really, really high level, both of them, really high level fight in general, and I'm really excited to see what they do next. I know people don't like Ian Garry, but after that performance and after that little bit on the mic at the end, that post-fight interview, you have to be a fan of him now. Like, I am a fan of him. Like, I like watching his fight. I like him on the mic. He really hypes up fighters, and he hypes up the fight. I like that he actually hypes up the other fighters he's with to sell the fight. I like that he does that. And this fight, he sold the hell out of this fight. Like, people weren't bothered about this fight, I don't think, as much as they should have been for how good of a main event it actually was. He sold it this week by being so confident, and then that post-fight interview saying, what was it, 21 days time, was it like 15 days time, I'm the backup. And to me, if one of them pull out, I'd be made up to see what Ian Garry does in that fight. I actually think it would be sick to see what he does in that fight on 15 days notice. So he sold the hell out of that post-fight interview, and he sold me. Let me know in the comments if he sold you, because I know people don't like him, and it's more stuff outside the cage than in the cage. But if he didn't sell you there, I don't know what will. That post-fight interview was sick, and I'll probably break down more on the actual fight in the week. But let's break down a couple of the other fights. Zhang Mingyang versus Anthony Smith. How good is Zhang Mingyang? I done a video on him, a little short on him, showing his highlights, and his highlights are brutal. But on what you need to look at is his last fight in UFC Macau. He finished it because Ozzy Diaz stepped in. Every time he'd lunge in with his jabs. Zhang Mingyang, bam, lands that step-in elbow. And again today, them elbows are brutal. So Zhang Mingyang is a real competitor now. And the UFC love fighters either being from huge markets, but what they want is they want a fighter from China and they want a fighter from India. The reason them two nations, if any fighter from that place is good, the UFC will push them because they have 1 billion people plus in their country. They have a huge fan base, and India especially, but also China. Like, they've obviously got Zhang Weili, she's the biggest star, but they haven't got that big of a male star. They've got Song Yadong, but he's not at the highest level where he's fighting for a belt. Where Zhang Mingyang, he really could. So I can really see the UFC pushing Zhang Mingyang, and rightly so, because he absolutely destroyed Anthony Smith, destroyed him. Them elbows were brutal, absolutely brutal. And it's weird because I think everyone had it that Zhang Mingyang was going to win. I hadn't seen anyone pick Anthony Smith, but I don't think anyone thought it was going to be that dominant. Blood all over Anthony Smith's face, and really good fight. I loved it. And Anthony Smith, fair play to him, not getting knocked out, going out on his shield, and fair play to him. It was a lovely little thing what the UFC done for him. I thought that was a nice video. I was actually surprised that the UFC actually let him have another fight after his last fight, but I'm glad they did. It's nice to see him not go out the way he did in the Dominic Reyes fight, and it was a nice little post-fight interview with all his kids, and it was really nice. Moving on to the next one, Abby Smagomedov versus Michelle Pereira, and this one, I think no one would have predicted it going quite like that. I think people would have predicted that in the second and third round they're both super fatigued, but we all would have thought that first round was crazy, non-stop, aggressive, and it weren't at all. Abby Smagomedov was laying it on a bit, but Michelle Pereira, I think he done the tactic where it was like, Abby Smagomedov gasses, so let's try and conserve her energy in the second and third round, in the first and second round, then in the third round, let's go. And they ended up both being fatigued in the third round, so that one wasn't the most entertaining fight. But move on to the one before that, Randy Brown versus Dalby, and fair play to Nicholas Dalby, never been finished before today. But Randy Brown, wow, his striking is so high level. I can't remember what it is, but he should be on a big win streak. He's obviously, I think he's won 7 of his last 8 and now 8 of his last 9. And obviously that loss to Brian Battle, me personally and loads of other people, I think he should have won that fight. So I'm excited to see what they do with him next. I'd love to see Randy Brown versus Prates now. I think that's a perfect fight. They both will be semi-fresh. Prates wouldn't have took that much damage. Get them on the Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier card, and that'd be a sick fight. And then finally, Ikram Aliskerov, a great finish as well. I didn't quite catch this fight. I was running a bit late watching the main event, but I did see the finish. And Aliskerov, I think people counted him out after the Robert Whittaker fight, but it was Robert Whittaker on short notice too. So fair play to Aliskerov, and I really enjoyed the main event, the main card, especially the main event though. Let me know in the comments, what do you think everyone should do next? Who do you think they should fight? And what do you rate the card? I will see you later.